Right now, there may be a part of you gripping the day as if it could slip away. A tightness that feels normal because you've carried it for so long. A small inner fist that keeps saying, stay ready, stay sharp, don't relax yet. And even if you can't name a single reason, your body and your thoughts have been acting like something is about to happen. My dear, that is so tiring. You are allowed to stop fighting for a moment. You are allowed to come back to yourself without explaining it. Resistance doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet and polite. It's the way you keep checking, rechecking, and rehearsing. It's the way you try to get ahead of disappointment by expecting it first. It's the way you hold your breath around an answer you don't have yet. It's the way you try to earn peace by staying tense. And sometimes resistance is simply the refusal to let yourself be human. The refusal to feel what you feel. The refusal to rest when your inner world is asking for a softer pace. The refusal to accept that life is made of seasons, and some seasons are still forming. So before we do anything else, let's meet what's here with respect. If it feels comfortable, let your exhale be a touch longer than your inhale, just once or twice. Not to fix you, not to force calm, only as a quiet signal. I'm here and I'm listening. Notice the places you're bracing. Maybe it's in your jaw, your shoulders, your belly, your hands, or behind your eyes. No need to change it perfectly. Only see it clearly, the way you would notice a child holding a heavy bag. When you notice, something loosens on its own. Here is a truth line you can keep close. The fight inside you is heavier than the moment in front of you. Even when the moment is challenging, the inner argument can double the weight. The argument that says this shouldn't be happening. The argument that says I shouldn't feel this way. The argument that says I must control this or I will not be okay. It's not that you're weak. It's that you've been carrying two loads at once, the moment and the battle against the moment. Sweet one, resistance often began as protection. It is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that you learned how to survive. Somewhere along the way, your system decided that tightness equals safety and urgency equals love. It learned that if you stay vigilant, you won't be caught off guard. It learned that if you keep thinking, you can outrun uncertainty. We're not going to shame that. We're going to thank it, and we're going to update it. Because the tools that helped you once can become heavy when you never get to put them down. Here is a gentle affirmation, simple and steady. I am willing to meet this moment with gentleness, just willingness. That's enough to begin. Willingness opens a door without forcing you to walk through it all at once. Willingness says, I can soften without surrendering my intelligence. Willingness says, I can be kind without being careless. When you stop resisting, you are not becoming passive. You are not pretending everything is fine. You are choosing to stop wasting your energy on what is already here, so you can use your energy on what actually helps. You are shifting from a clenched relationship with life to a listening relationship with life. And listening is powerful because it allows reality to speak to you instead of you shouting over it. Let's anchor that with a small micro recap. We are releasing the extra fight, not denying reality. We are softening our grip, not giving up our power. We are choosing a kinder posture toward life and toward you. Resistance has a voice, and it can be persuasive. It sounds like responsibility. It sounds like preparation. It sounds like, if I don't keep thinking about this, something will go wrong. And sometimes it sounds like self-improvement that never ends. When I finally become better, then I'll relax. It might sound like should and must, and I can't yet. It might sound like I'll be happy after. That voice may have pushed you forward, but it has also kept you on edge. There is a different way to move, one that doesn't require you to be in conflict with yourself. The first shift is this. Notice when your mind turns a moment into a battlefield. You can notice it without blaming yourself. You can simply say, the inner argument is here. And then you can ask a better question than, how do I control this? You can ask, how do I want to show up with this? That question is spacious. That question makes room for choice. It invites your values to speak instead of your panic. It invites your wisdom to lead instead of your fear. Here is another truth line you don't have to win against life, to live well. You don't have to wrestle your feelings to deserve peace. You don't have to punish yourself into safety. You can be devoted to your life without being violent toward your own heart. I want to offer you a short vow. It's not a dramatic promise. It's a quiet commitment you can return to, especially when you feel yourself tightening again. I will not abandon myself in this moment. I will not use harshness as proof that I care. I will stay with me, even when I don't have answers yet. I will treat myself as someone I am responsible to love. Notice what that vow does. It turns you from a critic into a companion, and companionship changes everything. When you are your own companion, you stop making your peace dependent on other people's timing, other people's clarity, other people's approval. You still care, but you are not held hostage. Now let's talk about acceptance, because this is where many people get stuck. Acceptance is not approval. Acceptance is not pretending you like what's happening. Acceptance is simply making room for what is real, so you can respond with clean energy. It's the difference between carrying a heavy box and carrying a heavy box while also shouting at the box for being heavy. The box is still the box, but the shouting drains you. Acceptance is setting down the shouting. It is meeting reality with open eyes so you can do what is needed without wasting your strength. Here is an affirmation that holds acceptance gently. I can let this be here and still choose my next step. That sentence doesn't erase your standards. It doesn't erase your dreams. It just removes the inner war. And when the war ends, you can think more clearly. You can hear your own wisdom. You can feel what is actually true instead of what fear keeps insisting is true. Some people worry that if they accept something, they'll get stuck with it. But acceptance is not resignation. Resignation is collapsing. Acceptance is standing. Acceptance says, "This is what is here today, and I am still here too." Acceptance is the ground you stand on while you decide what comes next. It can include boundaries. It can include change. It can include leaving. It can include trying again. Acceptance doesn't trap you. It frees you from the exhausting need to pretend that reality should be different before you're allowed to breathe. A tender question for you. Where could you loosen by 5% today? Not 50, not all at once. Just 5. 5% less gripping. 5% less rehearsing. 5% less pushing yourself to be someone you aren't in this moment. 5% less arguing with your feelings for being feelings. 5% is realistic. 5% is kind. 5% is enough to create space. And space is where your next right action can appear. Not from force, but from clarity. In that space, you can practice a tiny inner ritual. You name it softly. You allow it room. You choose one value. Naming it softly means you describe what's happening without drama. This is waiting. This is uncertainty. This is disappointment. This is a tender spot in me. You don't have to decorate it. You don't have to make it bigger. You just name it. Because naming it softly keeps you in the present, instead of sliding into a story about how this will always be. Allowing it room means you stop trying to evict it immediately. You stop arguing with the feeling for existing. You stop calling yourself wrong for having a human reaction. You might say, "This can be here and I can still be here." You might say, "I can carry this gently for a while." You might say, "I don't have to solve this second." And then choosing one value means you decide how you want to move. Kindness, honesty, courage, patience, respect for your own pace. One value is enough. When you choose a value, you stop drifting. You stop spiraling. You stop handing the steering wheel to urgency. This is the moment life starts working with you. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you stop fighting the present long enough to hear your next clean step. You become responsive instead of reactive. You become someone who can act without burning yourself. Micro recap again to steady the path. Name it softly, allow it room, choose one value. Release the extra fight. Keep yourself company. Now we come to trust. Trust is often misunderstood as a guarantee, but real trust isn't a prediction. Real trust is a posture. It's how you hold yourself while you do not yet know. It's the courage to stay open without demanding certainty. It's choosing to be loyal to your own steadiness, even when life is still rearranging itself. Here is the truth line. Trust is how you hold yourself while you don't yet know. And here is an affirmation that supports it. I do not need to know everything to be okay. If your mind says, I need certainty, you can answer, I can handle the next honest detail. The next honest detail might be small. It might be, I'm tired. It might be, I need to ask a question. It might be, I need to step back. It might be, I need to try again. It might be, I need to stop pretending I'm fine. You don't need the whole map. You need the next lamppost, and then the next. That is how real life moves forward, one honest detail at a time. Trust also means letting time do some of its work. Some answers require time to ripen. Some relationships require time to show you who they are. Some decisions require time to settle inside your body before they become clear. Resistance tries to harvest too early. Trust learns to wait without abandoning itself. Think of a snow globe that has been shaken again and again. The glitter swirls, the water clouds, and you can't see what's true. Resistance is the shaking. It feels like doing something, but it keeps you dizzy. When you stop shaking, the glitter begins to settle. Clarity returns on its own schedule. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped interrupting the settling. This is one of the most compassionate things you can do. Stop interrupting your own clarity. You can do that with your life. You can stop shaking the moment with your thoughts. You can let your inner weather move through without turning it into a storm of predictions. You can give yourself permission to be in the middle, to be unfinished, to be learning, to be alive. And when the glitter settles, you may notice a quiet instruction inside you, not a loud command, a gentle knowing. You may realize you need a conversation, or you need to sleep, or you need to change a plan, or you need to release a story you've been carrying, or you need to forgive yourself for not knowing sooner. That knowing was always there. It was simply covered by shaking. Here is a quick micro recap. Stop shaking, let it settle, listen for the next honest detail. That is, trust in real life. Ordinary, repeatable, human. Now comes the part that makes trust practical. When you stop resisting, you will still need to move. Softness is not stagnation. Softness is clean motion. And clean motion can be small. It can be so small that other people wouldn't notice, but your soul would. Here is a truth line to guide you. Release is not the end. It's the beginning of clean motion. Release frees the energy that was trapped in struggle. It frees the attention that was trapped in rehearsing. It frees the tenderness that was trapped behind armor. And then you can use that energy for one clear action. Sometimes the action is outward, a message, a request, a boundary, a decision. And sometimes the action is inward, choosing rest, choosing forgiveness, choosing to stop feeding the same thought for the 10th time today, choosing to step away from the mental courtroom where you keep putting yourself on trial. So here's a simple menu of actions you can choose from when you're tempted to force. You can tell the truth kindly. You can ask for what you need without apologizing for existing. You can take one small step towards something you care about. You can rest before you collapse. You can set a boundary with respect. You can forgive yourself for being in process. Choose one. That's enough. One clean motion is more powerful than 100 frantic ones. And if you choose wrong, you adjust. You learn. You try again. You don't punish yourself for being a learner. And now, a 2-line refrain you can carry like a small candle in your pocket. I soften my grip. I let life meet me halfway. Not halfway as a bargain. Halfway as a relationship. Halfway as a reminder that you are alone in the work of living. You do your part, and you allow the rest to unfold in its own timing. You show up with care, and you stop trying to control what isn't yours to control. Notice how different this is from forcing. Forcing says, I must push life until it obeys me. Partnership says, I will show up with honesty and care, and I will stop punishing myself for what I can't control. Forcing says, if I relax, I'll lose everything. Partnership says, if I soften, I can actually hear what matters. Now let's meet the place where resistance is most personal. You can stop resisting life for a moment and still resist yourself. You can make room for a situation and then shame yourself for your feelings about it. You can rest and then criticize yourself for needing rest. You can be brave and then scold yourself for not being braver. This is where the most important cooperation needs to happen. Cooperation with you. Self-approval is not arrogance. Self-approval is safety. It's the feeling that you can come home to yourself without being attacked. And when you have that inner safety, you stop trying to control everything outside you to compensate. You stop chasing certainty as a substitute for self-trust. You stop auditioning for your own love. Here's the truth line. The moment you stop fighting you gain your power back. Power is presence. Power is the ability to choose wisely while your feelings are still moving. Power is the ability to be kind to yourself without negotiating your worth. Try this affirmation, simple and sincere. I approve of myself as I am learning. That sentence doesn't deny your growth. It supports it. Because growth happens best in a climate of respect. Think of learning a new song. If you slam the piano lid every time you miss a note, you won't learn faster. You'll just dread the instrument. But if you practice with patience, you improve. You become steady. You begin to trust your hands. Self-approval is that kind of practice. Patient, consistent, and real. If the word approve feels big, you can start smaller. You can say, I'm not against myself today. You can say, I'm on my side. You can say, I'm willing to speak to myself with care. You can say, I can be firm with myself without being cruel. Each of those is a step toward inner safety. Here is another affirmation, soft and steady. My inner voice can be a safe place to land. And when you start speaking to yourself that way, you may notice something surprising. You don't lose your edge. You gain clarity. You gain energy. You gain the ability to recover faster after a hard moment. You become less afraid of your own feelings because your inner world is no longer a hostile place. Now let me tell you a short story because sometimes you recognize yourself more easily in someone else. Mina was the kind of person who could make things happen. If there was a problem, she solved it. If there was a delay, she pushed harder. If there was uncertainty, she filled it with plans and backup plans. People admired her, and she admired herself for being strong. But inside, she was always braced. Even on quiet mornings, her mind was already running. She measured her worth by how quickly she could get life to cooperate. She didn't think of herself as controlling. She thought of herself as prepared. She didn't think of herself as anxious. She thought of herself as committed. She had learned that being the reliable one meant staying alert. And for a long time, that worked. It got her through deadlines, family responsibilities, and moments when no one else seemed to notice what needed to be done. But her body was tired of living like an emergency manager. One week, a plan she cared about kept shifting. Nothing catastrophic, just enough to keep her in constant adjustment. She tried everything: more effort, more checking, more controlling. She refreshed her screen too often. She read between the lines of every message. She tried to predict the future from small hints. And the more she pushed, the more tired she became. She started to notice a new kind of irritation, not at the situation, but at herself. She was tired of being at war with her own day. One evening, she caught herself staring at her phone with a tight chest, waiting for a reply that hadn't come. And something in her finally said, "I don't want to live like this tonight." That sentence was not dramatic. It was honest. She put the phone down. She made tea. She let the evening be an evening. And when anxious thoughts showed up, she didn't argue with them. She didn't lecture herself. She simply said, "You're here. I'm here too." At first, it felt strange. Her mind kept trying to grab the steering wheel. It kept offering reasons why relaxing was irresponsible. But she remembered the idea of 5%. She didn't try to become a different person overnight. She just loosened by 5%. She unclenched her jaw once. She let the tea be warm. She let the room be quiet. She let herself be a human in an ordinary evening. The next morning, she did one clean action. She sent a short message that was clear and kind. No extra explaining, no trying to control the response. Just honesty. Then she went outside for a walk, not to chase a perfect mood, but to remember she still had a life while she waited. She noticed trees, sidewalks, stray laughter from a balcony. She noticed that the world did not pause because she lacked an answer. Her life was still happening. Did everything become easy? No. But something important changed. She noticed she could live while she didn't know. She noticed her worth did not rise and fall with a notification. She noticed that when she stopped resisting the moment, she had more energy for the choices that mattered. In a strange way, she felt more capable, not less frantic, more focused, less tight, more true. She began to experience a new kind of strength, a strength that didn't require constant tension. That is what life working with you can look like. Not a miracle, not a guarantee, not a fantasy. A shift in partnership. Life is still life. But you are no longer shaking the snow globe with your thoughts. Let this land as a micro recap. You can stop shaking, choose one clean action, and keep living while you wait. That is trust in motion. Now, there's another gentle truth. Sometimes resistance comes from love, and sometimes it comes from grief. It's the part of you that says, "This isn't what I hoped for." It's the part of you that wants to rewind, redo, reshape, and rescue. And when you can't, you tighten. You bargain with reality. You make yourself responsible for everything. You try to hold the whole story in your hands until it becomes safe. But you don't have to carry the whole world in your body. You can care deeply without gripping tightly. That is an adult kind of love. It's love that doesn't crush you. It's love that includes boundaries, timing, and respect for what is real. Here is an affirmation for that kind of love. I can care deeply without gripping tightly. If you've been trying to manage other people's feelings, this is especially for you. You can be considerate without becoming responsible for everyone's reactions. You can be kind without shrinking. You can be honest without over-explaining. You can offer your truth and let it land in its own time. You can let other adults have their own inner weather. This is not cold. It is clean. It is respectful. It is the difference between connection and control. Sometimes the bravest release is releasing the need to be understood immediately. You can express yourself clearly and still allow time for it to settle. You can take your stand and still let life respond in its own way. You can do your part without rehearsing the rest. And on days when the old urgency rises, you can practice repair. Repair is what you do after you notice you've been resisting. Repair is not punishment. Repair is returning. You might notice a tight thought and say, "I'm back." You might notice self-criticism and say, "Not today." You might notice the clenched feeling in your body and offer it warmth with your words. You are teaching your system that softness is allowed. You are teaching your mind that presence is enough. If you want a gentle anchor phrase that isn't an affirmation, just a reminder, you can whisper it inwardly. "Not today, inner war, that's all, not today." And then you come back to your next honest detail. Now let's bring in gratitude, not as a mask, but as a steadying touch. Gratitude doesn't mean you pretend you love what hurts. It means you remember what supports you, even in small forms. It means you let something reliable be real. It means you give your attention a place to rest, even while life is still moving. Maybe it's the fact that you're here, listening, willing. Maybe it's the way your body keeps carrying you forward even when you're tired. Maybe it's a friend, a sibling, a neighbor, a teacher, a stranger who once was kind. Maybe it's a small comfort, warm water, a familiar song, clean sheets, a favorite mug, a patch of sunlight. Maybe it's the simple truth that you have survived hard days before, and you can meet this one too. Here is an affirmation that matches that quiet gratitude. There is support available to me, even in small forms. Support in small forms is still support. A little steadiness matters. A small kindness matters. A single honest breath matters. And when you collect these small supports, you build a life that feels less like a battle and more like a home. Now I want to speak to the skeptical part of you, the part that says, "This sounds nice, but life is real." Yes, life is real. Some days are complicated. Some endings are painful. Some questions take time. This isn't a spell. It's a way of holding yourself while you live. It won't erase difficulty, but it can reduce needless suffering, the suffering that comes from fighting your own humanity. It can turn down the volume on the inner war, so your real strength can come forward. Another truth line, simple and freeing. You're allowed to be where you are and still be on your way. You can be unsure and still move forward. You can be tender and still be strong. You can be tired and still be worthy of rest. You can be learning and still be lovable. You can be disappointed and still be open. You can be afraid and still be brave enough for one small step. When resistance returns, treat it like a familiar visitor. You don't have to slam the door. You also don't have to let it rearrange the furniture. You can greet it, acknowledge it, and choose again, gently. You can say, "I see you," and then you can choose your value, choose your clean motion, choose your kinder words. And if you only remember a few things from this, let it be these. You can release the extra fight. You can make room for what is here without approving of it. You can choose one value to guide your next step. You can take one clean motion, and you can speak to yourself with respect. That is how life starts working with you, because you stop working against yourself. Here is one final affirmation to seal it, gentle and grounded. I am safe enough to soften. Not perfectly safe. Safe enough. Soft enough. Present enough. Willing enough. You are not being asked to leap. You are being invited to loosen. A little and then a little more. My love, you don't have to wrestle life into place to be okay. You don't have to punish yourself into peace. You don't have to prove your worth by staying tense. You are allowed to open in your inner hands. You are allowed to stand with a steady spine and a warm heart. And you are allowed to let life be a conversation instead of a contest. As you return to your day or your night, carry this with you. You can live while you don't know. You can be kind while you wait. You can move one clean step at a time. And when you stop resisting, life doesn't become your enemy. It becomes something you can meet, moment by moment, with you on your own side.